Okay guys, pretty excited to bring you this one with my old training partner Randy. Extremely explosive, athletic guy, and as a result he has a very different game, an atypical game, which makes him harder to predict. And having those correct jiu-jitsu reactions simply won't help you as much as they otherwise would. Now, he's already kind of dominating with that weird sleeve grip on my right hand, which normally I use to block the crossface. So I start to elevate him and I try to get him to a single leg X. So at least I can think about off balancing him, because the last thing I want is just to be on defense the entire time. Now, you see I have an X guard, and a common issue with X guard is that people tend to play the position and not load the person. And as you can see here, he's more on my side rather than on top of me. I think about pursuing maybe a knee bar type position, and I just felt that the risk wasn't worth it. And here, I'm worried that he's going to hop to the side, so I'm trying to break his posture down. My butterfly hook, you see I kick it in, but with Randy, these things don't really matter. So he posts on the ground and he hops around. If we look at that one more time, he posts on his hand, he punches my knee, and he leads the hop with his right foot and then leads the entry with his left foot. But I'm able to use his pressure to kind of slide my hips away and re-guard. Granted, he definitely let me re-guard a little bit. Now, as he comes back in, you can see he's grabbing the outside of my knee. And what I do is I start to re-grip a little bit offensively just to make him release that grip. So sometimes I take an offensive grip or position, not even to attack, but just to make them stop attacking. I get my butterfly hook in, which is definitely one of my preferred positions of attack, or even just to sit in. You can see he reaches through and he grabs my knee, and there a long step becomes very concerning. So again, I draw him to a single leg X. He does a really good job not allowing me to effectively attack from single leg X, but I prefer to be there so at least he has something that he has to kind of respect. He grabs this deep belt grip on me and his elbow will pin my head. So I know that at this point I have to play the inside game. I use my knee under his butt and I use that to bump him forward. And what I'm going to try to do is come up to my knees and topple him over, but he does a nice job pushing me back to my hip. And the way he's grabbing my wrist really makes me concerned about the Kimura, and that's why I fall to my back. And as he gets the over-under, I actually have a sweep counter that I really like to use. And the way it works is I make the guy post on his hand, and then when he does, I try to insert my triangle, or sometimes I sweep and I come on top, and there it is. I go for the triangle, but because Randy's quite experienced, he pulls his elbow back inside, so I can't seal the triangle. But at the end of the day, I remove the over-under pass threat, where he was a little bit deeper, he put a little more weight on me. I'm happy to have more of this neutral position here, where I'm playing this knee shielded half guard. And again, he starts feeding that lapel, and I definitely, every time he does that, it's like an indicator for me to get a little more active from the bottom. Even though I don't necessarily get any attacks on Randy, it's nice for me to at least be leading the position a little bit. My arm was a little bit far away from my hip. My elbow was far from my hip, and he uses that to get a deep underhook. So by threading this butterfly sweep position with the overhook belt grip and slipping my head out, he ultimately lets go of it and he walks his weight back. This position hits a little bit of a stalemate position, and I shift myself back onto my back and I pull my knee through. So it's a little bit more of a frame, but it allows him to also compress me like this and potentially hop over. But I think he senses that I'm waiting for that and looking for an opportunity for the butterfly sweep. And he exits range and he dives in for a knee bar. And this is exactly what I'm talking about with Randy. Look how he comes up like he's going to do a Toriando, and he dives right over my head, and I triangle my legs out of habit, probably because I've been knee barred by him 1,000 times. And once I shift that weight into my left knee, I know that it'll be pretty hard for him to pull my leg out, and he'll probably want to rebuild his guard from here. I want to do the over-under pass, but I just don't feel stable, so I switch to a knee cut position, and he launches another attack on me, and we'll break that down. As he goes to the tripod sweep, I have to bucket step vertically instead of stepping backwards, otherwise I will get swept and lose my balance. I try to enter a Toriando position from here, and he pulls me back, and I'm happy to take a more stable position and re-enter on my terms. Now, as he tries to draw me across, I return home to that knee cut position once again, so I'm not overly committing, and this is my opportunity, my first real opportunity to cut on the inside space. So I time that back step, I close the space. Watch again, I'm leaning forward, and I feel that here as he pushes me and tips me towards his left, that's my perfect window to backstep and pull my knee underneath his hamstring, rather than diving all the way to side control, which would probably be a little bit looser. Now with Randy, you have to be very careful of bridging and getting rolled over, and I'll integrate some clips later to show you why. So that's why I didn't pursue that side control, because I'd probably walk right into his trap. Here again, I'm going into that over-under pass, and I just bring my base down and I solidify my position, and I'm trying to tripod to pull my knee out between his two thighs. I feel a little bit trapped. And again, I'm always respecting that trap and roll because his bridge is so dangerous and explosive. And I'm just about to get it just on cue right there. I'm going to show you guys a clip from about 15 years ago to show you nothing has changed. I have always been so careful to avoid his bridges, but it's very hard because every time you try to solidify a position, you end up going over, and every time you try to balance, you feed it to him the opposite direction. So with Randy, I find it's better not to get overly hungry and walk right into that trap. I have that seatbelt grip, I have my butterfly, and normally I play my butterfly, but with Randy, I prefer the single leg X. Even though it hasn't been working, I think he shut me down 3 times in a row so far. I still prefer to attack it just because it's better for me to be doing something instead of laying there waiting for him to attack. The threat of the ankle lock, I think he falls back and I'll just get on top. I'm happy to come on top. And I secure his collar and then his pants and I exit the range. Once he gets a spider, I feel pretty good about shucking that across. And it's not that I'm going to pass. I just don't want him to go back to that position with the spider. So if I can present a threat that's real enough, he'll stop doing that. Here we start again, and again he has that spider. So I grab his pants, and you can see how immediately a spider comes off my bicep. So I'm pretty happy about that. I time the pass, and you can see I'm already posting on the floor just because of PTSD from being bridged so many times in my life. Here he kind of lets me have it, which just makes me even more alarmed because if he gives it to me, there it is. As soon as he traps my arm, I know that things are not going to go well, but I can't get my arm out. And like I said, Randy has a very atypical game. So I'm thinking he's going to bridge me towards the trapped arm. So you see I post out my foot and there you go. I try to swim, he swims back in, and beginning of the end. I go to knee on belly thinking that would at least stabilize the position, but it actually did nothing at all. Every time an opponent sits up, I like to follow them and enter my own sit-up guard. And as long as one hand is trapped, I'm not super worried about a kimura or a guillotine or a loop choke, which is nice. And I get one of my favorite sweeps there that I learned from a Michelle Nicolini seminar many years ago. I actually just posted it on my Instagram, maybe 2 weeks ago. I'm trying to set up my long step every time I grab that collar, and I know with Randy it's going to have to at least be a 2-piece combo, and I can see here he's kind of winding up for something, so I just go back to the other side, and I finally break through. Like I said, I'm very cautious about putting my weight on Randy, so as I try to step over, I end up leaving a bit more space, and he gets his guard back. But as he tries to stand up, check it out, all I do is I pick up his leg, and I make it hard for him to sit up. I thought I'd finish the video with one of his passing barrages back in the day. Here I am trying to fight desperately to get out of a Toriando, and he uses this to go to the other side. I invert, he uses his hips to shuck me, and then he just breakdances on top of me, but all in good fun. Everyone, I hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to check out my sponsor, Ikiro. Thinking of doing a no-gi video rolling analysis as well, so if you're interested, definitely let me know in the comments. And again, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you do. Most importantly, don't forget to use discount code IKIROZUKA.